Hey everybody, it's Mike Pingel here with another episode of Collector's Haven. Today we are going deep into the movie memorabilia of Patrick. Patrick, what's your last name? I don't even have it written here.
Mediate.
See folks, I would have butchered that one too. Yes. I am well known for butchering every name in the world. How are you today?
Great. I'm great.
So how long have you been collecting movie memorabilia?
I've actually been collecting for about 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years. But I've gotten quite a collection together in those 3 years. So.
And how did the bug bite you? The collecting
Well,
bug.
I've always been into movies. I've been a huge movie fan, but I'm also sort of in the business. I produce. I work in Manhattan, and I'm a producer, by trade. So. My love of movies just kind of translated over to collecting.
Nice. And where do you hold your collection?
I hold my collection currently all over the place in storage. Right now, it's on my bed in the corner, all over the place. But it's literally all over my apartment here in Connecticut.
Oh my goodness. So, talking about collecting, what was the very first piece you collected?
The very first piece I collected, I believe, was it was a piece from a horror movie called Scream 4, which is actually they're doing another installation of the Scream series of Scream 5, but it was the main killer's hero shirt from Scream 4. That was my first piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it soon. I hope.
Absolutely.
What is your most prized possession in your collection?
My most prized possession currently is an item that I just got in from a film called The Human Comedy. Mickey Rooney wore them as Homer McCauley in the film, and they're his track cleats from a really famous scene in the film. It's a movie from the 1940s, very famous movie, but he had them in his possession for about 70 years, Mickey Rooney, in his closet or in his estate, and I literally just got them in a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's crazy. So where do you usually buy your collectibles?
Sure. I usually get them from, I like to deal mainly with private sellers, one-on-one, kind of hounding them to sell me items over months and months. You kind of have to develop a relationship with a lot of private sellers because, if you have this in your private collection, they've developed almost like a personal attachment to it. So it's not just selling you an item, it's getting rid of an item that they are really close to. But most of my items are from private sellers. And I have a few items here from auctions, Julian's auctions, some prop store auctions, and some websites like Hero Prop, and a few other prop related websites.
So how do you, I guess I've gotten stuff from private people, but how do you find a group of private people that has what you want? Do you find them on eBay or how do you find these people?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a very tight-knit group of collectors. I was accepted into a small group on Facebook actually called Movie Props. And every collector imaginable is on Movie Props. Great people. So it's really a small, tight-knit community there. And mainly I really lean on those collectors for authenticity, for taking a look at their collections, to showing pieces that I've collected over the years. But mainly it's that group on Movie Props. And I've also met a lot of great movie prop sellers on there that have big websites, as I mentioned, Hero Prop or Prop Store, that are also members of that group as well.
Nice. So you're an elite group of people. How does that feel? How does it feel being an elite?
I guess you can call it. I mean, it feels really great that you put it that way.
So has there been a lot of things that you've looked through, you wanted, or have you passed on a lot of things, or what do you focus on in your collection?
Yeah, I'm super honed in. I'm sort of picky about what I include because of space that I have first off, and not only storage space, but actually like floor space, as you'll see as I show you around. But Also, I look for props that are iconic to me or from movies that I loved when I was growing up. Movies I love in general. I also like bigger pieces, whether that's a smaller piece that has plays a really iconic role in a film, or a bigger piece that just displays really well, like the items behind, which we'll see shortly. But yeah, I'm a little bit picky with what I collect.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of movie collectibles out there.
So much collectibles, and it's really hard to refrain from some of them. You're like, on a scale from 1 to 10, is this like a 7, or is it like a really need to? And I really usually just purchase the really need to items, and I'd rather spend more on an item. I learned this from a fellow collector. I'd rather spend more on an item I really want than collect a whole bunch of little, items that are like, a few dollars here and there.
Yeah, I understand. I've collected all the little items now that I only have a few big items. My trophy. Like,
you're just gonna come to me with like all these items, and I'm just trying to trade them for something big, like when you get the tickets out of the machine.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. What do I get? No, yeah, like the big items of like walkie-talkies and stuff, like go for $2,000, and I'm like, I still can't afford it. Hello. Yeah. What was the hardest thing for you to acquire for your collection?
The hardest thing was probably the night suit that Matthew Broderick wore in The Cable Guy. I actually hounded the seller for about 3 months on Facebook Messenger. He was a member of the group. I literally sent him memes of Matthew Broderick and Jim Carrey just jousting, all sorts of different clips from the film, little animated GIFs. And eventually he's like, just please stop annoying me and sell this. I'm selling this to you. So it worked out.
And they didn't even kick you out of the group?
They didn't kick me out of the group because it was almost like you're so annoying that you're so endearing at that point. So we're friends. We're friends too.
And you got little pieces of paper that said, please stop from the course, right?
Cease and desist, yeah.
Stop it. Do you have a wackiest story about collecting an item? Did you find it on the street or something?
Wacky story about collecting an item. Let me think. I don't know about wacky. I have had like weird places where I've acquired items.
That's a better story. Where's the weirdest places?
Like I think it's bizarre. Like I think it's not just a weird place, but like all weird places to me that like I think where things ended up. So like, if something was produced in LA or directed and made and created in Hollywood, the item is all the way in like Sweden. So there's a piece in my collection where I actually had like connected with someone who lived all the way out in Sweden, who ended up with these 2 great items. And I'm like, how did these things ever get all the way out there from their original place, that are a couple hundred years old at this point, or at least a little over 100 years old. So it's really exciting there. And it's weird to like find these items in those places.
Did you have to go there and get it, or did they just send it to you?
Thank God I didn't have to go there and get it. They sent it to me, but it literally took, because of everything that's going on with the pandemic, it took like 2 months to get it back. And it was like half opened, and like someone, took a bite out of the box. It was bizarre.
I hate that when that happens. You look at it going, oh no, what's going to happen inside?
That guy
Exactly. So, okay, so you're a movie memorabilia buff. What is your favorite movie?
I would say my absolute favorite movie it's a tie, because I'm from Italian heritage, plus like I just love The Godfather. It's one of my favorites. But as far as like one of those movies that I can just watch a million times, it's probably Bringing Up Baby with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn, which is just a classic. It is. And one of my favorite films. So.
Mine too. Do you have anything from the movie?
I wish. Someday I'll trade everything in this room for something from Bringing Up Baby.
I have just no. Guess what? It's like that collector's other show that call people. No, it's not. I don't have anything to donate for everything or trade. All right. I think there's other questions, but they'll come out. I think it's time. Patrick, I think it's time for us to take a tour of your.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to try my best here with this this mobile setup. Where should we start? Let's
I,
let's start. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
I was going to say that. You took that. Wow.
We have here two items from another great movie I love. I think it's a classic sci-fi film. It's a little bit of an underrated film. It's called Hollow Man. Starred Kevin Bacon. I think it was like a late 90s movie, like maybe super early 2000s.
Yeah, I just been watching it. It's been on Epic Drive-In like forever for the last 2 months of the pandemic. And
Yeah.
it's him shirtless and Elizabeth Shue and no. Oh God, I can't remember the other guy. Anyway,
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, thank you. And
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, guys, it's an amazing movie. It's very cheesy, very fun, and it has some pretty good effects to it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's great. Well, this item is the lab coat that actually Kevin Bacon wore under his naked chest. I put a little, over his naked chest, I put a little wife beater under here because he wore this a little bit. This is not, from the film, but the top part is, this was the lab coat that he actually wore in the scene where they poured the iconic mask on his face. So you can actually see the residue of the latex pour on the shoulders. It's actually still got the original wardrobe tag on the item. So you can see it says Sebastian, which is his character in the film. Damaged lab coat from latex pour. What they do is, it says chapter 16, they reference different scenes in the film. So that would be the scene reference that this was used in the film. Super cool. This one came from Spain, actually. I had it shipped from Spain, and I was super scared because some of the latex actually chipped off a little bit in transit. But all in all, it's still one piece.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then to complement this, I have one of the actual. There were a few made. It's a little scary, but one of the few made masks that Kevin Bacon wore in the film Hollow Man. This mask is actually what they call a burn mask. So if you saw the ending of the film, it's made in a certain way that it could be worn. So for fire effects, pyrotechnic effects, they actually light him on fire, and this mask could withstand that scene. It's made of silicone, which I love because silicone lasts quite a long time. Latex lasts about 20 years or so. But yeah, this is the Hollow Man mask.
That's an amazing.
Very cool. It's actually a little lifelike. Friends and family don't really love coming over and staying over because it scares the crap out of them. But
it's good. Then they don't stay long. Get out of
I
here.
was like, take that mask out of there.
My question is, have you worn the mask?
I haven't worn the mask yet. I'm not. I won't put it on just because I don't know what I would catch from this mask. Like, it's literally so dusty and gross, and yeah, I'm not putting it on, unfortunately.
Wow. Okay. Thought it would be something special, guys, out in Collector Saving World, but no, he's not going to do it. Not going to do it. What do we have next?
Next on the next time we meet. Next is the Scream 4. The Scream 4 shirt that I had mentioned to you, which was my first costume, first prop in my collection. This shirt was worn by Emma Roberts, who was the killer at the end of Scream 4. If you've ever seen the movie, she stabs herself, and there's this whole scene where she beats herself up. Here's a photo from her wearing the shirt, and you can see it has some blood on it from production blood. And yeah, super iconic to the film.
Wow.
Yes, very cool.
That is very cool.
Next up, we have a lot of people are fans of this film. I know A League of Their Own. This is one of the Racine Bells uniforms from the film. It's not a complete uniform. It's the actual uniform without the belt. There's obviously stirrups and a few things that go with it, but it's the full uniform to an extent. I'll try to pull out here so you can see it. But I just loved this film growing up. It's an iconic movie. And as you know from the film, the Bells are the main competitor. So
The best team.
and then yeah, the best team. I'll spin it around so you can see the back. It's obviously got the number on the back. Yeah, pretty neat.
And do you know who wore 22?
I don't. I haven't done the. Look through the film, the scrubbing through the film to actually see who wore the number 22. But I'll definitely do that. Get back to you and let
It was
you know.
me. I wore it. There. I'm kidding. I wasn't in that movie.
Moving on. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So this was worn by Lucy Liu in the film Charlie's Angels, the first Charlie's Angels film. It was worn in the scene where she is baking the meal for Matt LeBlanc's character, who's her boyfriend, who's also an actor, and the entire van gets that she's in. It's like a mobile home gets shot up by bullets, and she wears this, for that scene, and then a few scenes after that in the film. So this was actually made by a designer, really famous designer who does a lot for Broadway and films as well. And in the inside, you could see, I don't know if I can take it off, but it's got Lucy Liu embroidered on the inside of the shirt itself, which is kind of neat. It was made custom for her. So.
That's a nice piece. I don't know why I like it so much, but it's a very nice piece.
Maybe it's the sequin. Very
Maybe
shiny.
It's Charlie's Angels.
Maybe, that too.
Although I did like the first movie, I actually, let's just interject myself into this. I auditioned for the movie. I was auditioning for Cameron Diaz's boyfriend that I lost out for that role. And yeah, I did some consulting on that movie too. So I only have scripts. No one gave me anything.
I love the film. I mean, when I was growing up too, like it was just one of those movies that action movie. It was a first for a lot of stop motion and a lot of different things. So it was a fun movie. I remember when I was from my childhood. So it's kind of cool to have a piece from it.
And it was a good movie. It did do some great nods to Charlie's Angels. Although they did not use guns, I did have an issue with that. So because Charlie's Angels.
I know.
Anyway, back to you. What's next?
Speaking of movies from my childhood, this was one of my favorite movies from one of my favorite movies as a kid. From the Kid in the 1990 film Dick Tracy. This was the Kid's iconic red cap, which you can see the photo, but he wears that quite a bit during the film. I'm not sure which cap this is. It could be a stunt cap, but the actual inside of the cap, as you can see, is very small. There's like a littler hole in it. It's made for a kid. But this was acquired by a crew member on the film, and really lucky to have it. So.
And I love that movie. That movie is, I think, underrated too.
I mean, everybody wanted that transmitter watch that you can talk to, and now everybody has a watch that can talk to. It's like one of those.
I know.
Things.
Now it's just a phone.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what we have here. Oh, so down here we have another cool piece from a movie I love and a lot of people love as well. Back to the Future Part 2. As you can remember, in this movie, Marty McFly has to find the almanac, the sports almanac and he goes, you know the deal. But inside the sports almanac, instead of what's supposed to be there, Biff has been reading an Ooh La La magazine. And if you remember the scene, he opens up the almanac and he says, "Ooh la la," and he throws it out and goes crazy because he still hasn't found the actual almanac. But this is the insert from that scene where this is one of the Ooh La La magazines. Kind of neat. And then it's also got a reverse as well. Kind of neat. Little production detail there.
Ooh la la, that was very risque.
A little risque. Not too crazy. Very like 50s style. I don't know if I think they probably recreated these photos and created their own version of a 50s magazine with this one. But still pretty neat. And it's cool to own something from a movie I love. And that's Absolutely. Really iconic.
That's a great iconic movie.
For sure.
3 iconic movies.
For sure. These are I was talking to you a little bit before. I haven't yet gotten displays for these, so I kind of have them scattered around. But these are the cleats I had mentioned that Mickey Rooney owned for about 70 years. He kept in his possession from the Human Comedy. And whoever has seen the film, they'll recognize them from the track scene where he races in the film. But these are from probably like the late 30s, 40s. But you can see the cleats bottom. They're pretty cool. And they're in pretty good condition for being so old. So Mickey Rooney must have taken really good care of them over the years. Really neat.
That is neat. And what movie was that from?
The Human Comedy, it's called. It's early 40s, I think. Early 40s. It's he was young in the film. It was one of his early films. And a lot of his films where he's famous were early films, because obviously child actor and everything.
Absolutely. That's a neat piece. And where'd you acquire? Did you go over to his home?
Yeah, I knocked. I said, I heard you have these cleats in your closet. Can you? They're from the estate, but I won them in a Julian's auction.
Okay.
It was the past Julian's auction that was like the Hollywood auction that was like maybe a month or so ago.
Yes.
It's weird.
Nothing I can afford though.
Yeah, they're really neat. I'm really happy to own them. I've been a fan of that film since I was young as well. Weird film to be a fan of because it's not like the most famous film, but I had seen it on like TCM or something one night, and it's just always been a movie that I've loved.
Awesome.
Following up that, let me just skip this one because it goes nothing with the old school. Let's just stay in like the old film world. I'm just going to skip one over. This is a dress that was worn by June Haver. Who was a really famous actress back in the day.
Of course.
There's some cool photos with this one. But this is her dress from a film called The Daughter of Rosie O'Grady. She wore this in a very, very famous scene where she's dancing on stage. It's really old. You get this Wizard of Oz feeling from it. It's pretty neat. I found these, which is kind of fun. It's like a little weight that they put in the front. Actually, my grandmother showed me this because I showed her this dress. I'm like, Grandma, you'd love this. And she's like, did you know there's a weight under this part? But there's a weight that weights down the front part of the dress. So when she dances, it doesn't, fly up and stay straight, which is kind of neat. Needs a little bit of a restoration. So any dress restorers out there, please hit me up because I'd love to know how to redo these little poofs here on the arms. But
wow, that's beautiful.
A few photos of her. You get a better shot here. A few photos of her wearing the dress. That was a production photo. This is actually a screen test photo. Let me get into better light here. It's actually a screen test photo of her in the dress. Kind of neat.
Nice. That's a nice piece.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I got this this was the dress I got from Sweden. One of the dresses, and I'll go over to the next dress that I got from Sweden over here. This next one is kind of neat. It's a little bit of a history lesson, Hollywood history lesson, but a lot of times dresses were repurposed for different actresses and different pieces. Like a skirt could become a full dress, or a dress can be, so they would take apart costumes and use them for different things. So this dress, the bottom half of this beautiful black dress, the bottom half was worn by Jane Wyman in a movie called All That Heaven Allows. It's a really famous film. Let me just put this down for 2 seconds. I'm just going to open up the back so you can see something really cool. The original Universal Pictures wardrobe tags are actually still on the piece with the names of a few of the people who wore them here. Let me see if I can hold them up here. But you can see it says Universal Pictures, Jane Wyman. And then there's another actress that wore part of this, G. Pelham, who I have no idea who that is, but the Jane Wyman was from All That Heaven Allows. It's kind of neat.
Very neat. I love that they put that in there too.
Yeah, it's very cool. They stitched them into all of them. And it's neat to have a piece that actually still has the original wardrobe tags along with the piece. This came along with the June Haver dress, which was kind of neat. It was like a twofer. So
a two-piece twofer, huh?
Two-piece twofer. Oh, so while we're here, might as well just grab this real quick. Might as well look at this piece. This is the piece I was telling you about. That's from The Cable Guy. This was Matthew Broderick's night costume from the famous medieval times scene where Jim Carrey gets him on the to joust with him and almost literally kills him. But this is the costume. It's kind of neat. It's got a neat little poofy headdress on it that just fits under this overhang here, which is kind of neat.
I know it'd be horrible. You have to move and get a bigger house because of it.
Oh God, I know.
Why are you moving? The costume doesn't fit in the house anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. Sorry, we got to move. We got to go. But I just love this piece, and it was worth hounding him for months to get it. And it displays really well. It's got the gloves, it's got the full thing. And I actually found a medieval times sword to go with it, which isn't from the film, but it works with the display.
Not nice. Let's
see. Let's go over here. I skipped over this one. This one is from a movie called The House Bunny. Emma Stone wore this costume. This is Emma Stone's hero costume from a large, big scene, iconic scene in that film, if you've ever seen it. This is her sorority shirt from that scene. These are her shorts. And I'll lift these up, but also her flip-flops from the scene. If anybody has seen the film, they'll recognize this from a famous scene where she's doing a car wash with the sorority, and she mistakenly wets her short pants there, and they make like a big joke about them being like her sexy pants or something. But this is like her stage where she's a dork, and then she turns into like the pretty college girl who gets all the guys, like the typical story.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to become that. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's go over here. Over here we have kind of a different piece. This is, if you've ever seen the movie Carrie, the new, the not the original Carrie, but like the remake of Carrie with Chloe Grace Moretz. This was the towel that she uses, the bloody towel from the shower scene at the first part. If you haven't seen it, she's in the locker room, and I won't go into it in this because this is a kid safe collector show, but this is the bloody towel from that scene. And then in the film, Chloe Grace Moretz wears these under outfit that you actually don't see in the film, but she has to wear this in the scene just to play it safe. So she wears these little pieces underneath. But all of them came together from the studio. So
that should be just ended with a period. Ended with the period.
Clever.
I know. I was trying. I was thinking.
You've seen the movie.
How am I gonna move in a period with that?
Oh my God. While we're over here, since I also have movie posters that I collect. I kind of have this neat vintage poster from a movie called The Terror. It was Jack Nicholson's first movie, I believe. Boris Karloff, really cool poster. It's got great art in it, but I have that one hanging here. Let's see. Over here, I have a frog from the movie Magnolia. I don't know if you've ever seen Magnolia. The end scene, there's a bunch of frogs that fall from the sky, and yeah, they fall all over the place. This is one of those frogs from the film. It's not my favorite piece because there are a million frogs out there that were dropped, but it's kind of neat just to own something from Magnolia, just a movie I love too.
I think that's in everyone's collection. I think they just give it out as a door prize.
I think so too. I think you're right about that. Like literally, I think there's a frog in every single movie collector's collection as well.
Yeah, because
But you got, it's
I
one
don't
of
know
those.
how many they had, but they did thousands of frogs. I think in that.
Oh yeah, you got to have it. You got to have one.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Over here, oh, this is probably, along with the cleats, one of my favorite pieces. It just came in a few days ago. This was Mark Wahlberg's screen matched in the collector's world. There's, you know, there's costumes, and then there's costumes that you can actually screen match to the screen, whether there's a mark on it or a button or a stain, so on and so forth. But this is actually his screen matched costume from a movie called The Perfect Storm, which is a movie I love as well. But you can see it's got the hood on it and the full on like fishing bib and jacket. And then these marks here that you can see, these blood stains here, can be matched to the film itself, which is really fun. Pants. The cool thing about this costume is, and I thought it was an error at first with the costume, I'm like, did you store this in a weird place? They actually have his name on the back of the jacket. I'll flip it over here. His name in the film was Bobby. So on the inside of the jacket, if I can open this up, on the inside of the jacket, you can see Bobby. And it's been meant to, so they can, you know, he writes his name in the jacket so he doesn't lose his jacket, and, you know, they can distinguish it. But it actually bleeds onto the back of the jacket as well. And again, I thought that was a mistake, but it actually is part of the intention of the costume designer to have done that. So
Nice. So this is what you're wearing for Halloween this year, right?
this is this one or the Hollow Man one. Now that you've actually inspired me to try the mask on, you know, someday.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll clean it up.
Do that one. The raincoat might be easier for you. Although I don't know if we're going to have Halloween this year, but who knows?
Let's hope so. I love Halloween.
I do too. It's just a weird ass time, people.
It's one of my favorite holidays. And then, you know, those are the majority of the large pieces from the collection. It's obviously ever growing. I also, again, said I collect movie posters. So I've got some neat vintage. This one's from a movie called Jungle Captive from like the 30s. Actually, it's a mid-40s, this film, but super kind of cool, fun sci-fi movie. And then I've got a bunch of posters in these. That's another show. A bunch of posters in these tubes here.
So
whole other show.
Is there a certain poster that you like, or, you know, is a genre of posters, or it's just something that is you want it?
Yeah, for sure. I love like horror, like old school, like monster movie horror posters, like Jungle Captive. But one of my favorite posters is actually over here. It's from a movie called Back from the Dead, which was a mid-50s film. It's a William Castle movie, but super, super cool. So stuff like this. And you know, and you know, obviously I have like fun French posters like this Kate Hudson. This is turning into a risque show. You didn't know before you got on with me. You didn't vet me that this was going to turn into such a risque show.
Hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do for ratings. So show it off. Show it all off.
Yeah.
So is there something that you're looking for right now that you have your eye on, that you're like, okay, got to save my pennies?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have my eye on a, if you've seen the Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yes.
The Leeloo Dallas like suspenders, the orange ones that she wears in the Fifth Element, I have my eye on right now.
Multipass.
Yeah, they're, as you can imagine, they're super iconic and they're super pricey. And I have a seller that I've worked with before on some of these, some of the items in my collection that has it. But it's just about getting to a price and
sending them memes and sending them like,
yeah, sending the memes, selling my soul. You know, that's what it's all about.
What would be the one thing that you would really want in your collection? I mean, if someone said you can have anything you want in the world, what movie, what item, what would you think that you would want?
That's a really tough one. That's really hard. I know this sounds crazy, but I've been on this like kick. I don't know if you've ever seen Boogie Nights. They literally just sold a pair of Roller Girls like glasses from that film, but I always thought it'd be so cool to have her skates from that movie because they're so iconic throughout that movie, and it's another one of Paul Thomas Anderson. I love him as a director. Love Boogie Nights as a film. I think it's great. But I would always love to own her skates from that film. So if anybody has them or knows where they are, let me know.
Put them on, roll them over. Okay, what is the most expensive item in your collection?
Most expensive item would probably would be the Perfect Storm, the Wahlberg, costume. That costume, because it was screen matched, like there's only one of them, and every time you watch the film, it's for lovers of the film like myself, it's something he wears throughout the whole film, and it's actually something that you can experience and see and know that it's the actual one from the film. So it came with a higher price tag. So I would say that's the most.
Wow.
most
How much do you think your whole collection is worth?
I would say probably in the range of like 20 to 30,000.
Billion? Wow.
Million. Yeah. 20 to 30,000, something like that. It's such a weird world that one costume could go in auction for like 15,000. Who knows? Like, it's so crazy out there, and with the right collector, you never know. It could be more.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone asks me about my collection. I'm like, it's if whoever wants to buy it. If someone has a passion for it and wants to pay for it, someone would be like, I'm not even giving you a dime for it. But your stuff is amazing.
Thank you.
Have you? Let's see. What other questions do I have? So, have you met any of the people that have been in your costumes?
I have met Mark Wahlberg through events, producers events and such. And Mark Wahlberg, I've met Lucy Liu, and I have met actually a lot of them. I've met Matthew Broderick and Kevin Bacon. And no, I have not met Chloe Grace Moretz, but those are the main actors, I think, so far. I have not met Mickey Rooney, which would have been awesome to meet Mickey Rooney. But time has passed for that. So
that is true. That is true. Wow, it sounds like you have a amazing time in collecting.
I really do. It's really it's an addiction at times. Yeah, I think every collector that's probably been on this show has said it's truly like anyone who collects anything is somewhat addicted to collecting what they love. And so it's really one of those things where it's like, hey, do you really want this piece, and do you really want to go broke, and feed yourself next week, or do you want to enjoy this piece forever? But it's a constant battle. But I love films, I love movies, I love collecting. So
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm so happy that you shared it with all of us, including me.
I'm happy that you had me on the show.
Thank you for being on the show. I'm trying to think of, I'm sure I have another question, which will probably come after, but it's amazing that you found a community that you could work with, and the movie collecting community seems very, very cool and very supportive.
They're very cool, very supportive. There's a lot of, I think with a lot of other collectors out there, there's a lot of like fakes out there and people that are not so good in the collecting world. And it's good to be a part of a community where you can vet things with them, and they've got your back, and you can clear things with people, and you know that your investment is really what it's made out to be. So
that's great. Have you looked at something and the community goes, no, that's not, don't buy that?
Yeah, I had an item when I started off collecting that was said to be a business jacket that Leonardo DiCaprio wore at the end of Catch Me If You Can, where he goes back to like the office, and the FBI hires him to work for them. And I found out through the group the hard way that item was not real. So I ended up being able to get my money back on it through the deal, just with the support. But it was a scary time. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It must be interesting because you're dealing with something that's iconic, that's on the screen, and you can look at it but you still don't know if that's really real.
Yeah, people do all sorts of crazy stuff. Like the inside of the jacket said Pan Am on it, like Pan Am, like brand, which, as if you know, Catch Me If You Can, Pan Am is like the airline, and it had DiCaprio written on it in the inside and like on that label. And with that stuff, people do all sorts of crazy things. And like from seeing that, anybody would be like, "Oh, this is." If someone says it's DiCaprio, so they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, this is it looks sort of the same." But when you break down the scene and you look closely at it, and people tell you it's not matching, then you kind of have that sinking feeling where you're like, oh, you know, I made a mistake. But
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Well, you know, at least you're learning and you have mentors that are teaching you, and you've got some really amazing pieces in your collection. Well, where can people reach out to you if they have an amazing piece they want to sell you, they want to give you, or they have just asking for some advice?
Sure, absolutely. Well, my Instagram is NY in June, letter N, letter Y in June, the month. My Twitter is New York in June. Song I love. It's actually also a song that was in the movie The Fisher King that Robin Williams sings a bit. It's like part of the whole shtick. So Twitter, New York in June, and then also Facebook. You can find me under my name on Facebook and add me as a friend. We'll talk. And I use Facebook Messenger quite a bit, so we can connect on there as well.
Well, I hope something fantastic comes in the mail soon for you again.
Let's hope.
Exactly. And thank you for taking the time, Patrick. It's amazing to meet you. I hope you're doing well and being safe out there. I hope everybody else out there in Collector's Haven is being safe and wonderful. Thank you for coming with this journey in this movie memorabilia. I know all of you seen the movies that Patrick has collected on. I know I have. And now I'm going to go back and have to watch some of these the scenes and seeing these things in real life. Well, actually, on the TV. Thank you for watching. Please share this video. Please like it. Please send it to your family, your friends, other collectors, enemies. I don't care. Send it. Just share it. Share the joy of collecting. Patrick, thank you for being my guest today. It's been
Thank you.
Amazing. I'm a bit jealous. I'm a bit jealous on the Lucy Liu thing. I got to tell you.
We'll talk. We'll talk after we come.
Please. I know it's never going to happen because it's not going to happen. Because I have a $2,100 walkie-talkie to buy. That's what I needed to buy. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and everybody, thanks for watching. Okay. See you next time.